Hola community, how are you? I'm Pablo Vazquez with another episode of Blender Today. Today, from a different place. It's the same but bigger. I just made some room for the epicness that was today, that is today's episode. We have news from everywhere. We have Eevee news, cycles, performance improvements in mesh and stuff, and the motion tracker as well is now much faster. There is news in sculpt mode, user interface, outliner, you name it. Every section, I think, or pretty much every section now has how does it keep improving? Why does it keep improving so much? Because next week, in like 9 days, there will be the Beacon 2 stage. We're gonna enter Beacon 2 for Blender 2.92. What does it mean? I explained this for every release. I explained that Blender is split into many stages, and next week we switch from the first stage of the release, which is like, hey everybody, let's get things in it and let's get new features in it. We move to the stage where it's like, okay, we already have enough, let's polish those features. So let's get to it. So alrighty. I got my mate here. You can see more now. You can actually you can see stuff. Isn't it great? I actually want to have this space for VR stuff. Getting ready for VR stuff. No, not on the show. Maybe I could do it on the show. Maybe. Okay, well, let's get to it. Remember, this is live. We're streaming live as always. So if you want to ask anything, go to performance 130 here. This thread made by Lapis C. Thank you, Lapis, for making it. And there will be some questions that I'm going to be answering towards the end of the show, as much as I can, as many questions as I can, because today the list is pretty big. Okay, let's get the big ones out of the way. You ready? Okay, let's switch into the Eevee mode. How do you write Eevee? All caps, or actually you write it with like the first one is capital and then the other one is not. So far it seems to be working fine. Just do not make it a mess, because some people write it different ways. What is this feature? This feature is AOVs. It's called AOVs. This was available for cycles already. It allows you to basically have an output when you're rendering, having a render layer or like a pass of anywhere in your shader setup. So anywhere in your shader, like after a principal VSDF or after a color ramp or after anything really, you just output you just put an AOV node, and that node will become a pass that you can composite later. So it's great for compositing. It's just yeah, there are things that you couldn't do before. This is great also for kind of, you could somehow use it for baking also. So yeah. Let's see. Here, this demo was made by Jeroen Bakker, developer that worked on this. Here you can see now, oh, the theme is outdated. Now the shader node is supposed to be the same color as the socket. Let's see if I can go bigger. Here. So yeah, wait. Oh no. Okay, here. Oops. Here, basically, you can anywhere in the here in the shader, you can output with an AOV node output. So you can see this node over here. AOV, you just name it. You put a name and a color or a value, and then that, for example, here we have the background one color and then a checker texture with another color. It can be anything. It doesn't even have to be plugged in to part of your shader. It can be anywhere. It can be floating around. And then once you render, you're gonna be able to plug this node, this pass anywhere else. So if you go to the compositor, then you're gonna find here that you can use the AOVs and control stuff with it. Just like a regular pass. This is awesome. Squad great for yeah, for baking, faking baking, for compositing, for making masks, for quickly making masks, because this is Eevee. This was only available for cycles, so actually I can imagine that you could even like go as far as rendering with cycles and having these Eevee AOV passes that render much faster for some for NPR. That's super good, but also for any kind of masking out, for any kind of compositing really. So super promising. Let's see. The other feature is also related to Eevee, it's part of Eevee, and related to this compositing workflow. It's, yes, you need to sit down, Cryptomat. Cryptomat. This has been in cycles for a few releases already. If you don't know what it is, it's also related to compositing. It basically gives you a pass that allows you to have like able to pick any objects or materials or group of objects in compositing. So it's automatic. You don't have to set a mask for each one of the objects. You just turn it on, and then you're gonna have a picture that looks like this. It's just a bunch of colors, but then you're gonna be able to color pick this object and that object, and it's so much nicer. Really, this opens the possibilities for compositing so much. And of course, you can export this and use it in another software. You don't have to use it. Cryptomat is available it's an industry standard. Yes, it's not a Blender thing. It's an industry standard. So you're gonna be able to use this in other softwares. So all right, the next, since we were talking about Eevee now, let's move into the ray tracing side of things. The cycle side of things. This is good news if you are an NVIDIA graphics card user, because optics, you know, optics, this thing that makes rendering in Blender so much faster, also gives you much faster denoiser. Well, now one of the downsides that optics had before, it was that it wasn't able to do certain shaders, to like use like ambient occlusion or bevel. Not anymore. Now ambient occlusion, AO, and bevel shaders now work with optics. So more compatibility, yay! This was contributed by Patrick Morse from NVIDIA. So another thank you, NVIDIA, for contributing with code, and also as part of the sponsor of Blender. That is super nice when companies yeah, because this is only for optics users. So it's nice to see that the company cares and they implement it, which is, I think, how things should go, right? Like the same with exporters and importers, and the more other companies can do, because they know their software, to make it like exported to a game engine. Well, it's good that they do it. People often ask the Blender developers to do it, but it goes the other way around much easier, much more easy. All right, so I have a bunch of news here. Let's see what I can grab. Some sculpting, performance, viewport, grease pencil. Let's go to grease pencil, and so we don't, you know, it's just too epic so far with optics and with Cryptomat and AOVs for Eevee. Now let's switch. Grease pencil, the 2D side of things in Blender. This feature is awesome. Auto merge. Last drawn stroke. What does it mean? It means that if you enable the setting, this is up here in the header, when you draw a line, for example, and then you draw a line again nearby that line, it will merge them. So you can have perfect lines. Also, if they're half transparent, you're not gonna end up with like multiple layers of it. You know, if you have 50% transparent stroke and then you draw another one on top, you can get rid of those. So super new, super neat. Grease pencil team, you're gonna love this. Actually, I've seen some videos in the these days about grease pencil being used for like actual storyboards from feature films. Super interesting what people are doing with this. So it's gonna be a big release for Grease Pencil. There is a new operator to reset vertex colors. This is a new operator that it's available in the header here in the paint, reset vertex colors. This wasn't possible before, I think, because there are also a few operators that were there and they were not in any menus, like this one, for example. All the paint vertex color operators like invert, levels, hue, saturation value, bright and contrast, they are not and they were not available in other places. So now they are in a menu. Super nice. And feedback from one video that I saw one of these days was that enabling onion skin, it takes too many steps it would take too many steps in Grease Pencil. Well, by default it shouldn't, especially if you use the workspace for 2D. That one is ready for doing 2D animation, has all the settings enabled and so on. The thing is, onion skinning, it can be slow. It can be slow because when you're editing, you have to show multiple frames at the same time. Yeah, onion skinning is when you have a frame and then you can see with some sort of transparency the next frame and the previous frames, just to see how the motion is going to be, to preview. So it can be slow. It can have a hit in performance. That's the reason why it's disabled by default, but now it's going to be enabled by for when you make a new layer, it's going to be enabled by default. This is also based on feedback from people sharing videos and tagging developers. So yes, please, when you make videos showing features, always give feedback, because developers are always watching. So it's always good to hear where are the quirks that could speed up workflows. All right, let's switch into, okay, this is a big one too, for animation / rigging. It's a section of Blender that is often seen as forgotten. It's getting much better in the last couple releases, but now this one is for rigging / animation. Now this patch, contributed by Henrik Dick Wiesel from on the forums, it adds custom space to constraints. What does it mean? It means that you can specify the space in which you can specify like world coordinates, local coordinates, what else? You have the pattern post space, local with pattern. So these are the common ones. Now you can also specify the local space of another object. So you can, it's crazy, with one coordinates of one object you change the other one. So that will allow you to work with less bones, basically. So you need less bones to create things, because you just, yeah, you don't need the bones, you just can grab it from another object. That is super neat. I'm gonna have some mate. Oh, there is even demos files. Super nice. You should check this if you want to check this out. Is in D7437 is the name of the patch. I'm gonna wear the headphones because I want to hear the music in the background. Otherwise, it's just a bit too. Oh, also, this room is way more empty now. Do you hear like some kind of echo? Let me know, because it's yeah, it's empty. I ordered some more sound dampening panels, but they will take some time to arrive. No echo. Okay, that's cool. Good. Well, I already ordered the sound panel, so I think it's just better for my neighbors. Cool. Let's continue. So, onion skinning. Is this a cooking show? Yeah, it's a cooking. There's a blender, onion skinning. All right, let's switch gears into the outliner section of the day. outliner. This outliner, there's a new setting to invert the state in which we want to filter. So you can filter, for example, here. You can filter objects or visible or not, and then you have a little invert toggle which you can filter out other kind of objects. Maybe you want to see all the invisible objects or all the unselectable objects. So this is super nice. So yes, thank you Nathan Kradok for working on it, and the reviewer Hans Goody. And another great improvement that was actually based on another change of the outliner is the here. It's switch properties tabs only on icon click. What is it? Okay, for this I'm gonna launch Blender. Let's open the here some outliner, and let's open a properties. Okay, so as you know, in a few weeks ago or so, we had an improvement where you can actually click on these for example, you click on the icons and you can go into that section. So for example, here if I click on the lamp icon and go to the lamp settings, well, this would also get triggered every time you click on here on the name. It would take you to the object settings, and that was a bit annoying. That was a bit slow to manage. So now the way it works is the following. If you click on the icon of the kind of lamp of the object data, it's going to take you to the object data. So a mesh, camera data, and lights data here. If you click on the name, it's not gonna change the tab that you're on here, only if you click on the object icon. So then you click on the object, camera object, and then you go to the object settings, mesh, point clouds, and then this way you have all the flexibility in the world, because you can see, okay, I want to see the area light, I want to see the lamp settings or the object settings. Also, it's super handy when you just want to see multiple objects at the same time, but the object data. So in this case, for example, I see the mesh if I have a mesh selected, or I see the camera settings if I have a camera, or the light settings if I have a light. So it's the best of all the worlds. All the worlds. All the worlds. Okay. Is it me or your geometry node graph UI is different? Yes, it is a bit different. This is a... I'm using Blender 3 here. No, I'm not using Blender 3. It's a it's a few tweaks that I'm doing. I'm testing some changes that I want to propose to the team. Yeah. So basically, it's just a line up here. Just because right now, what I noticed is that because right now we color the whole headers, it's hard to see if the color is too bright. In this case, like the geometry, then you can't read it. Also, because of that, then we have to choose darker colors, like here, like the attribute. So I think this works a bit better. And also, if I'm also made the circle around the geometry is a bit thicker, because before it let's see if I can open an older version. Yeah, just to show basically. So okay, let's see. Yeah, so you see the outline was thin here, and I made it slightly thicker. If I go here, this is the old one. And I made it, I mean, I think it's maybe a bit too thick, a bit less would be better. And yeah, the color, I think it works better. Let me know what you think about this. I haven't put this anywhere. This is my own personal Blender. If people like it, I might push soon for Blender 292, or maybe we wait for Blender 3 for making bigger changes. I don't know. Let me know. I want to hear. I read all the comments, by the way, always. And I don't delete anything. I read the comments saying that nothing gets deleted. All right, let's continue. The UI. Let's switch into UI stuff. Let's switch into UI topics. Oh, nice. Blender video sequence editors. Blender video sequence editors. Where are you? speak out, because now you can change the alternate colors of the background in the video sequence editor. Yes, you can get rid of it if you want. You can just remove the alpha, and then there will be no alternating color, so it will be just a flat color. So now each channel can have its own. You can make it a rainbow one. You want to make it a Christmas, red and green, of course. Game changer, such as Sarah says here. I'm reading you guys here in the comments, by the way. Cool. Let's continue. The next is, oh nice, this was an improvement that was done by hands, which many people have been asking around, and you may not notice until you notice. Okay, let me see if I can you do you see the difference here? Look. And let's see if I have an older Blender open here. Yeah, no, this is not old enough. I need an older Blender. Let's see if I can find it. And then, okay, yeah, Blender 3 it also works. So Blender 2 also works. So do you see it? Dragging horizontally is no more. So now when you drag horizontally, it actually moves. I mean, it just takes the y-axis basically. So it's so much nicer. You don't waste. I mean, there was no, since Blender 2.5, so 10 years ago, that horizontal panels were not really supported. They were supported for many releases until a few releases ago. So for 9 years, maybe 9.5. But now yeah, it needed to go. So much nicer. It's really something that you need to feel to see how it works. For panels, for add-ons, this works much better also. For add-ons, for modifiers, and add-ons too that use panels, anything, anywhere. So yeah, let's move on. What other improvements? Okay, this one I cannot really test, but apparently, yeah, Yevgeny has made the trackpad smooth scrolling for popovers. I don't have a way to test this right here, but I trust him. He always to test it here, but I trust him. So add smooth scrolling with a trackpad for popovers. Also fixes the position of the scroll arrows in high DPI. Looks popover sounds dirty. No, it's a pop up, but doesn't really up. It's over because it stays open. That's the difference. And it also is not blocking. Let's see. Batch rename dialog. Okay, another one by Evgeny. He made it so the batch rename dialog looks much better. It used to look like this, with some fields spanning all the way and different. Yeah, the alignment wasn't great. So and also here there is an error, but it wasn't really shown as an error except in the field. Now it's so much better. Now it's properly aligned, the spacing is much better, and when it has an error it actually shows it here. This should be capital, right? Nothing to repeat. Yeah, it should be title case. Yeah, super nice. More improvements in the user interface. And another one by Evgeny has made it so now Blender shows Blender in the about that you can find in the app icon. About, you're gonna see here the full Blender logo in it. Did you know that you can grab these windows, by the way? I think if you resize the window, yeah, they go back, but you can drag them actually. And then, yeah, super neat. Blender, full Blender logo. All right, tiny one, but a welcome one. Let's go into the user part, the one that the editor that most people use, the Viewport. The Viewport. there are a few things here. There are tools, improvements in the tools. Add object tool. This was already present. This tool was already present a few versions ago. Then it got removed in the moved to the experimental section, and now it supports that you can now place objects in orthographic axis views. So in ortho mode, now you can actually add objects. Before it wasn't really working. But this one here, this other improvement on this tool now allows you, it uses the closest view align axis as a fallback. So there was no video here, but basically it's once you use it, it will try to use the closest view align axis. So if you are in the side view or in the almost side view or almost top view, it's going to use that one as a fallback. So much more better placement of stuff, of objects. Viewport. This is a fix, actually. This is a fix. So now you can actually select in the instances to select the object. Before it wouldn't work unless it was enabled in the viewport. So here you can see the error. So this wasn't possible. If you have, for example, a cube duplicating or instancing the cone, it wouldn't work unless you see it. Now you can. Now it works. So thank you, Shaq, for fixing that, and thank you for reporting this issue. The fix. He reported and yeah, it's okay. He reported and and fixed it, or not. Let's move on with more viewport/sculpt settings changes. Now, when you sculpt, you're gonna see the stats of your mesh as you're sculpting. So now this has advantages. Why? Because now it's possible first to know how many vertices you're gonna be sculpting in. You know, when you have multiple objects, you can only sculpt so far. Right now, you can only sculpt in one object at a time. So that's what matters, really. That's the amount of geometry that is actually getting calculated when you sculpt. However, you can also have constructive modifiers, those modifiers that actually create geometry. Those the thing is, those modifiers, when you are sculpting, you're actually sculpting in the original mesh, in less vertices than the ones that are generated. So yeah, this is actually a good improvement, I think, and it will also show here. Thank you, Daniel Bicet, for making the screenshot. It's better to show it. Here you can see that the amount of vertices, and this is also shown in the status bar. So it's both in the viewport and in the status bar. Let's see. What else? Oh, this also Sculpt tool improvement for the erase displacement mesh filter. Now you can unerase or more like enhance the details. So here, let's see. So you know, since the last release, it's 291, that you can actually you can delete or erase displacement or like multi-res levels. You can get rid of them or bring them back. Now you can actually bring them back, but even further. So it's more like intensify the details here, like Pablo Navarro mentions. Super handy as well. And the last improvement is actually in painting. Sculpt/paint. This is a vertex color paint that got an improvement for the wet paint area radius. So let's see the example. It's always much better to see the example. So this adds a new property to the Sculpt Vertex Color Paint brush to limit the area of the brush that is going to be used to sample the wet paint color. So this works especially when you are close here, like when you're working near color hard edges. This allows to prevent color from the other side of the edge to blend into the wet paint. So as you can see, now you can have both sharp edges and non-sharp edges depending on where you click, depending on the area that you are painting. Before, this is how it would look. This is the previous value, 1.0 basically. It would always lead into this weird wet, like it was with a wet effect, but even when you click on the dark area, it will start painting gray, which is not ideal. So super nice improvement by Pablo Navarro. And next, how much time do we have? Oh, we have plenty of time. Let's switch into performance. And this one, I need a drink first. Do you know that there's an emoji for mate? So for this weird thing that looks hippie and it's like tea, well, there's an emoji for it. So that makes it more, more legit. All right, cool. Time to talk performance. So motion trackers. How many VFX people are out there here? Raise your VFX hands. This people are using the emoji here, the mate emoji. Super nice. Thank you, Shani Mercado, Blenderhead. Cool. Okay. So tracking. Our doctor in the house, Sergey Sharvin, all the way from Russia. Now he works here at the Blender Studio. There at the Blender Studio. So he's been working on improving the performance of the motion tracker, the tracker, the one you use to do camera tracking, object tracking. You put a video, you put some trackers, you calculate, and that calculation takes time. Here he made a little one. This is a little improvement, so it's about 10% faster in this change, in this commit. It's like, okay, more speed up will be gained by minimizing threading overhead in the frame cache. Cool. That's nice. 10%. I mean, that's a lot. If we only had 10%, that would be huge. However, he then committed this. Improve multi-threading of tracking many markers. Improve. Okay, improve. Let's see the numbers. You can see the engagement here, even at Toad by Francesco. So, improve multi-threading of tracking markers. These changes solves a bottleneck which was caused by attempt to cache post-processor areas used for tracking. So it was mainly a cache issue. And if we go here, there's no expected slowdown. That's cool. However, the more threads you have, the more you're gonna see, you're gonna find the speed up. As you go here, you're gonna see, okay, so let's see some numbers. So this was done on Linux, Intel Xeon, and using one of the videos from the Blender Cloud, Track Match Blend by Sebastian Koenig. So here, before, in 2.91, this took 401 seconds. 401 seconds, 0.52 divided by 60. This is 6 minutes or 6 minutes? 14 seconds. From 6 minutes to 14 seconds. This has to be real time. Somebody made the math, and apparently because it's 250 frames, if you do the math, it's near real time. So I just had nothing to say. Bravo, Sergey. It's amazing. Motion tracking, this fast, near real time in some cases, depend. You could I don't know, it opens so many doors. I mean, we already have motion tracking, but I think being this fast, you could add it to other parts of Blender to I don't know, to make use of this, to mix video in the viewport with CG objects. I don't know, AR, VR, I don't know. Could it be done if you stream some video, some AR? I don't know. My mind is about to explode. Yeah, AR and VR, it could be used for that. Is there any very buenardo? Is there any smart people out there that can help and throw some ideas? at it because it's really mind-blowing. AR, VR, real-time face tracking, right? That's super, super cool. Interactive mode, motion tracking interactively. That, I don't know, it opens so many doors. So yeah, big kudos, Sergey, and keep it up. Okay, let's move into more updates, more improvements, because motion tracker is not only the only one to be faster. Now, for example, this one is more math stuff. It's a constraint Delaunay triangulation. What does it mean? It means that it's a very low level math operations in Blender that they get reused in many functions. In this case, for example, this it will speed up many areas of Blender, but one example using the exact Boolean modifier, it was about a 15% increase. But sometimes the speed improves by a factor of 2 or to 10. So from 2 to 10. So overall, Blender, many areas that use this kind of math are gonna be used, faster. So basically, what does it mean? Faster Boolean modifier, faster knife, exact knife or intersect, faster pretty much everything. A factor of 2 to 10. That's a lot. Yeah, in case you didn't know, that is a lot. Another one, speedups for new Boolean, better hash functions for verts. This one, another improvement. I don't know, it doesn't have a number per se, but it's an improvement. It's a speedup. Another one, speed up finding patch components in the new Boolean. Again, it doesn't have a number of how much faster, but it is faster. So thank you, Howard. And here, another one, speed up for finding cells in new Boolean. Here, all this reduces the time to find cells by a factor of 10. What is finding cells? Is it defining where to work, where to affect? Whatever, factor of 10 is huge. Even if it was just a millisecond, or depending on the amount of vertices, this is great. Remember, Booleans, the new Booleans in Blender 2.0 now, they are used everywhere, not only in the Boolean modifier, they are also used in modeling tools, sculpting. When you sculpt and use the trim tool that was added in 2.91, that's also Booleans, the new Booleans code. So any updates in that regard is gonna speed up many areas of Blender. So we should celebrate these changes. And another one to celebrate, okay, this is more like the potpourri section. This is a fix and a new option. The new option is that the vertex weight proximity modifier, now you can specify a custom fall-off curve. The same way you can do it in the weight edit modifier, where you can specify fall-off with a curve. Now you can also have a curve widget where you can control it in the vertex weight proximity modifier, which is a modifier that gives you a vertex group based on how close two objects are. Super nice. So yeah. Oh, that is actually, now that I think of it, like when your object is close or far away, that gives you a fall off. So now with a curve, you can actually specify to make it to change like waves. Super cool. Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Christian Friedrich, for working on this. And the last one is a fix. I don't usually mention fixes, but this one is worth mentioning because it's I run into this many times when working in production. When you work with like if you link a node group. This is for nodes specifically. So if you link a node group with a bunch of inputs and outputs into another file, then if that file disappeared or changed, or the node group name changed or whatever, then you would end up with a bunch of broken, like the wires will be all gone and the node would fail. The thing is, if you save that file, all the connections were gone forever. I lost so much time because of that. This fix makes it so now the lost node links are not gonna be lost anymore. So it's just gonna show in red to indicate an error, but it's not gonna be there. So yeah, super excited about such a small fix, but an important one. And with that, I am done switching modes into performance. Is everybody having a pandemic haircut or non-haircut? I see YouTubers with like long hair or like long, well, beard now, but hair especially because of that. Yeah, we can get haircuts. So well, we can, but it's just, I think I'm gonna wait until 2021 at least. By the way, next week I'm gonna be doing the show, but the week after, no, actually no, I'm gonna be doing it every week. Then at some point we're gonna end this show for the year. Next week is my birthday, so I'm gonna do a live stream the day before, and maybe one on my birthday just to hang out. I don't know what to do though. Celebrate, have fun. Let's get to the questions, shall we? Okay, I'm gonna log in. Oh yes, authorized Blender community. Okay. Here, let's see the questions. Okay, 28 comments. Let's see. No, happy birthday is my next week. No, pre-birthday. No, not yet. People here in the chat, it's next week on the 15th, on Tuesday. So I'm gonna be doing the pre-birthday Monday. Alrighty. First question by Nago. Hi Pablo, could you please elaborate a bit on what will the future options regarding particle collisions? Like, we'll be able to easily scatter pebbles on a plane without them intersecting with each other. So collisions like... Oh, that sounds somebody's drilling at 6 p.m. Okay, never mind, sorry. I hope you don't hear it that much. So are we gonna be able to scatter without them intersecting with each other? Yeah, I think so. Right now there is only a minimum distance settings that you can control in geometry nodes, but yeah, this should be possible with everything nodes. No se escucha. Oh, sorry. You don't hear it in English. Cool. Okay, now there is a big drilling sound, so I'm pretty happy. This is a condenser there in the mixer that works great for that. So the next question, Prog Unreal. Hi there, I was wondering, could it be possible to have a node with variable input numbers? For example, when join geometry node, would it be amazing to be able to link more than only 2 inputs? Yes, that is planned, actually. Yes, we actually have some mockups about how to make it work. Basically, it's going to be one input with many entries. The socket is going to look a bit different. It's going to look a bit bigger, taller, but it should be about the same. So okay, I think everyone will be definitely love if we could stop doing this nested. Yeah, I know this looks ugly, but this is how it works so far. But it's planned. Let's continue. Mille asks, modeling issue, part 1. Okay, how big is this? Hi Pablo, a lot of tutorials try to explain any sort of workaround to get rid of a big problem in 3D design. In Blender and some other software too. Bevel after Boolean. All the efforts behind this tutorial struggle against 2 main flaws in box modeling. 1. The presence of extra edges inside the end-gon, and the way they are added after the Boolean. The lack of a fillet modifier. Bevel is not a fillet. Is fillet like the food? Or fillet? And I will talk about it in another post. So here's my question. Why those extra edges are needed? At least I suggest let the user choose the way they're added, because adding them from corners is not in many cases invalidates any next bevel operator and produces the form or wrong geometry as showed here. I see. To apply a correct bevel, the extra edges need to be perpendicular to some surrounding edge. I hope maybe Hans looks at this live stream, or maybe I can ask him if he knows, or maybe Howard, because I'm not familiar with this. I think I know what you mean, but I haven't run into it personally, so I'm having an option now with so many options in the Boolean modifier. Maybe it makes sense, or maybe a node. We can always think about nodes, luckily. So yeah, needs to apply the scale to the main object first. That's what your personal spammer is saying. Thank you, personal spammer. Next question. Let's see. Hey Pablo, 2 questions. Okay, when can we expect LandPR and Asset Browser to be merged into master? 292 or 293? I would say the Asset Browser 292. So that means for next week, or the week after next week, I would say. But LandPR, I'm not sure actually. I haven't followed lately how the development goes, so I have to look into it. But I would say more 293 than 292. I haven't seen anything yet. Okay, let's continue. Serenade asks, no, sorry, the second question is, will animation nodes ever be shipped with Blender as an official add-on, as it's Blender's only motion graphic toolset? No, it's not the only one. There are many more. But animation nodes, have you seen how big is it? It's like 50 megabytes or so when compiled. If you go to graphical.org or the graphical community here on the side, you're gonna find animation nodes, and no, actually this is 6 megabytes, still 6, but uncompressed. This is compressed. How big is it? This is 5 megs compressed, but okay, uncompressed here 18 for Linux, and then for all the other platforms. So I don't think it's there should be an easy way to get it maybe, but yeah, bundling these days with Blender will make it will make it much bigger. Okay, so let's go. There should be a way for Blender to download things online much better, much easily. Serenade, hi Pablo, is there any plans to make displacement node to actually displace the geometry in Eevee like it does in Cycles? Because now, if I know right, yeah, no, you can't do it at the moment. You need geometry, and I don't think anytime soon. There are other priorities for Eevee at the moment, but eventually I think it could. I don't know how would that work in, Eevee is all GPU, so a shader for that, how does it work for video games, for example? Is there an equivalent, or is it a Vulkan thing that we have to wait for? Or maybe with geometry nodes. Okay, so Kusanagi asks, hi Pablo, any updates solution about the end panel sidebar overloaded when you have too many add-ons? When you have too many add-ons, I have a lot. Yes, there is a design, but there hasn't been any time to implement it, unfortunately. But yes, there is a design for that, to improve at least that you can scroll in the sidebar. But yeah, no, there's no plans for implementing it at the moment, sorry. Maybe something for the community, unless it touches too many areas, but it could be. All right, so next question, Vodik44. Hi Pablo, from Russia with love. Hey, from Argentina. No, from the Netherlands with love. Is there any plans to implement destruction and fracturing in Blender in the near future? The project fracture modifier is most likely dead. It remains to hope only for the native implementation of fracturing and destruction in Blender. So yeah, there is the add-on, which is a toy apparently. It cannot be used to make complex destruction. Yeah, no, I haven't seen any news from this actually. Unfortunately, it was made, developed by someone, but not one of the core developers, but outside of the, like by the community. And I haven't read anything new. Maybe with the advent of the geometry nodes project, maybe this brings more, like adding a new node is much easier than adding a new modifier currently in Blender. That's a great thing. That's awesome that it's easier, but also it's inspiring, right? With all the things you can do, I think it's inspiring for new developers to join and say, hey, I want to make a little node for this and that. So a fraction modifier is not a little node, but maybe it's inspiring. The next question, Pipeliner. Hi Pablo, did you hear anything about light linking from your colleagues? No, I didn't. What am I missing? Look, all this love. Let's see, what is it? Like, did you link to this because there has been new news? September, October. Here's a Bone Studio posting this. He added a patch. So okay. So in October, Brecht moved it from cycles features to help welcome. So the starting point will be to the existing patch by Todd Baudas, rebasing it and addressing my comments regarding how this implementation is inefficient. So apparently it was done, but it was inefficient. So in particular, there should be multiple light distributions created to work efficiently with cases other than branch path tracing, and it needs to be ensured that BVH traversal performance is not impacted as much. So yeah, as you can see, this is Brecht. This is the main developer. He made cycles, so he's the main developer there. So yeah, help welcome, and there are notes on how to proceed. Let's see. That's also, you know, when you see an add-on or a patch or like adding this amazing feature, it's not like the Blender developers just don't want to add it to Blender. It's that sometimes it just doesn't meet the criteria or doesn't fit with the rest of Blender, or I don't know, there is an, I don't know, if there was a Blender version that was much faster for cycles, for example. But yeah, aesthetics doesn't work with branch path tracing, doesn't work in this and this graphics card, doesn't work with these specific objects, it may crash. Like, yeah, well, then what's the point? Blender, every feature in Blender should be stable, right? Dr. Isaac asks, is there any hope for micropolygonal displacements to leave experimental state? Yes, it should. It should. Come on, 3.0. It should just happen. Next question. Button Love says, any news on outdoor retopo for sculpting? With all those amazing features, it seems to be the biggest thing lacking in this workflow. Quadriflow is good, but maybe not for every case. No, Quadriflow is good, but it's not intended to cover every case. There are other algorithms, and even in other softwares, that do this in a good way. There's no one magic bullet for everything. There is multiple types of like multiple types of denoiser. Well, the same multiple types of remeshing tools. One for making good quads, one for making good organic, or one for less organic. So yeah, let's continue. For people spamming, by the way, just know that spamming doesn't work. I'm not gonna answer a question just because it's 20 times posted in the chat, and I also they get banned for life, so you need to make a new account to post in Blender. So yeah. Next question, Sam. Actually, it's let's do 5 more questions because it's 2 minutes to 6. So Sam says, another question: will there be an API exposed, maybe C-base, for writing custom nodes operations as part of the Everything Nodes project, something akin to VEX in Houdini, for example? I haven't read anything about it, but isn't there like open mesh effect, open mesh, That would be cool to implement, actually, something more of an open standard. Maybe that would be the way to go. But no, I haven't read any plans yet. It's too early to even think about that, with the project being in diapers, I would say. Next, my nose is getting clogged. Why is it? Because I'm talking too much. You notice that when you make these live streams, you notice how, especially when I'm by myself, how little I speak during the days, and especially now with Corona, that I have to stay at home and stuff. I don't see anybody. It's really talking zero, or maybe 1 hour or less in a meeting, and then bam, live streams, non-stop talking. Okay, the next question, number 4 by Dhruva. Super smooth scroll and drag. Yes, I think in Mac you have smooth scrolling, so it should be possible to add it to other platforms. I don't know how it works. I think I just know that Ton added the smooth scrolling on a Mac. Thick circle with that color change is nice. Oh yeah, with the node. Thank you. Next question. Actually, let's go to the bottom, because these are already, they don't have any votes. So I need, just to be fair, I'm gonna answer the ones that were first asked 3 hours ago by Steve, for example. Steve, hey Pablo, hope you're well. I want to ask if Open Subdiv are going to be updated in Blender. Actually, the library itself is being updated all the time. Feature-wise, not that I know, like at the moment. We need more developers, really. Like Sergey is the one that made the motion tracker, the one that I talked today. He implemented Open Subdiv, but he also made motion trackers from 6 minutes to 14 seconds. So yeah, we need more developers. Next question. Hi Pablo, are geometry nodes extendable with add-ons? In other words, can developers add new nodes with add-ons? Can we expect more nodes to be added? At the moment, I don't think you can add new add-ons, new nodes, the same way you can't add in other areas of Blender, new shaders, and no. The priority now is just to get the basic building blocks and then expand. But yeah, you're gonna expect more nodes to be added. Yeah, for sure, there are many more nodes coming. You can follow the whole project in developer.blender.org. In projects, you're gonna find geometry nodes. It's geo here, geometry nodes. Once you go here, you're gonna find files. You can even see what people are talking about in the chat. Even if you're not logged in, incognito, actually, you should be able, yeah, you can read and see what we're talking about, what the team is like. Look, they're talking as we speak now. Really, commit to master, it's okay. And yeah, there you can stalk people. This is something I was talking before. We were discussing if it should be like geometry A or B, or it should be how should it be named, or if it should be 1 or 2, and then based on how things are already in Blender, we don't use A or B, we use 1 or 2, we use numbers. So yeah, those kind of discussions. And yeah, that's it for now. Let's see. Question, Ruel Nicolas. Hi Pablo and community. My question is, will it be possible via everything nodes to have bones hierarchy follow and move on a curve like a roller coaster in the near future? My other question, if two are okay. Okay, so the first question is, will it be possible to have bones hierarchy follow and move a curve? You can do that already with without everything nodes. You can, yeah. Just make it follow a curve, for example. or with constraints, or yeah, there are ways to do it already. The next question, maybe in the near future of node modifiers and bones, can we will have the same option as Pablo Dovaro's boundary brush to bend things inside out like origami? I tried to do it with the edges profiles and screw and modifiers and it works nice, but it's more difficult to do that for an already modeled cube-like structures. Yeah, opening other videos is risky live and shouldn't do it, but okay, this is yours. It's okay. Ooh. Nice. Worms. Wow. And then you just need to mask out the inside, right? But yeah, boundary brush. The thing is that the brush is something you do, it's not dynamic. You can't do and undo, right? You just do it and then it's destructive. Whereas bones, they're not. So yeah, I'm sorry I don't have time to see the other video, but it's actually pretty cool that you're doing over there. And the next question, let's do 2 more. Michael, hey Pablo, I hope you're doing well. I hope you too, Michael. Here's my question. Is it possible to change the order in which the editors cycles when you press Shift F3? This used to bring up the shader editors first, which was the most useful to me, but now it's a compositor. I found this in the key map, but there's no way to change the order. Alternatively, is it possible to create a shortcut to go directly to the shader editor? That's a good question. I actually don't know the answer for none of the questions. I don't know what does he use right now. It goes first to the, so the first one is compositor, texture, geometry, shader, texture. Is that the order? Shift F3, compositor, shader, geometry, texture. Yeah, it's this order actually: compositor, texture, geometry, shader. This is the order, I think, that it goes. So no, I don't think it's you can customize it, and also not sure if you can go directly into it. Unfortunately, maybe you can make an operator, but like make your own operator and make it switch to the subtype shader. But yeah, no. Or can I? Like when you do Shift F3. No, yeah, the first one is a compositor. No, not sure. Sorry. And the next question, it's hi by Damian Winichenko. Hi Pablo, hi the community. How are you today? I'm doing great, thank you. Having a new space, more space for activities. The question is, I have working prototype expanding one of the nodes in the shader editor. However, my coding skills and understanding of Blender source code aren't good enough. Is it possible to get any direct help from the developers apart from publishing the patch? Yeah, publishing the patch is usually the best. Or what you can do is publish the patch but not making a diff, but maybe just pasting and then asking around in Blender coders. That is probably the best. Or it depends if it's, in this case, if it's Eevee or cycles, you can go to DevTalk and then just ask over there. In DevTalk there is a Blender development, and there should be a section for cycles. So here, for example, you can ask if it's a cycle related thing, you can ask over there. Or just general Blender development, and then yeah, leave the question over there. I'm curious now what is it, but yeah, the best way to get feedback is to always share the code. Always share the code. And the last question, since it's already in the screen. Hey Pablo, in the module roadmap for 292, baking was a target. Things move so fast in Blender, priorities change. Do you know if this will still be a target at the moment? I am not sure. I haven't read anything related to it. Maybe I'm wrong, but next week already we have we have Blender 292 passing to Stage Beacon 2. Stage Beacon 2 is when no new features are allowed. So, not sure. It's a pity though, but yeah. Okay. I will call it a day because I have to do the live stream in Spanish, by the way. If you in Blender search for Blender, or if you speak Spanish and you wanna see the same but in Spanish, you can go to Blender Hoy, where I'm going to be making a live stream speaking about this same show but in Espanol for my Latinos and Hispanic fellas. Let's go back into full screen. How was it? Did you have fun? Was it as many features as you expected? Is there any, well, probably many features that we all want but don't make the cut? That's the great thing about Blender, that it keeps improving, and sometimes with surprises by the community. That's the best part, really. Also giving feedback when you're using a tool and you maybe are not super happy with the way it works. Just make a video or make it public and share it and tweet it and put it on BlenderToday and in the community. And you know, the more we talk about the issues, the better it is for Blender, for the community, and for everybody, because maybe there is a better way of doing things you didn't know, or developers see that there is a better way, or maybe it's just a silly fix that is gonna make life better for everybody. So yes, please go ahead and do that. I will see you next week about the same time in the same place, because next week is gonna be my last show with 33 years old. On Tuesday next week I'm gonna it's my birthday, so I will be celebrating Monday next week, 14th of December. Let's meet. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's been another great week. Have fun. Download the Blender Alpha. Have fun. Play geometry nodes like Eevee, motion graphics, motion tracking, Cryptomat, Cycles, Grease Pencil, and the list goes on. Obrigado, arigato, grazie, danke, danke schön, danke well. Gracias.